I escaped in Hungary in 1956 after the Hungarian Revolution, which started October the 23rd. And after 2 or 3 weeks, the Bolshevik army came back. And then for 6 weeks, the Iron Curtain was lifted. There was an Iron Curtain before that. And coming through the Iron Curtain, you could only come in clothing where you had to get through hilly region, and only with whatever you could carry in your hand. So all what I had, it was a backpack, and I didn't even bring my medical diploma that if I'm caught, I will say I went to an excursion. And naturally such a coat would have been a difficulty. But I left most of my clothing at that time in Hungary, and my sister kept it. And eventually, 2 or 3 years later, she came out. She brought some of the clothing with me. So was my black suit, which I showed, and so was my coat. In 45, 46, and 48 in Hungary in the post-war years, and you had to do whatever you had, because clothing was very good. And this is probably the story of my coat. I had a winter coat which I got in my teenagers, and it was a fur inside coat. The outside material was by that time worn, and I was a little bit older, and I thought I only want to have a black coat. There wasn't such a material available in Hungary. But my sister, who knew very well dressmaking, wanted to make for herself a lady's suit. There was no material for a lady's suit either. And eventually, one of her aunts said that Uncle Sigismund, who died about 4 or 5 years ago, and he has she wanted to have for this lady's suit an inside fur lining. And he said, that coat has an inside fur lining, and she gave it to my sister. She brought the winter coat home. I said, this is exactly the type of material that I was looking for. So she took the fur lining out, and then I took the material to Mr. Laszlo, who was the tailor who did all the tailoring for me. I said, take the clothes inside out, turn the material out, because that coat was made in 1905, and that is 1948. And he said, this clothes is still very good, you could wear it on the original side for 10 years, then I will turn the material inside out. And I told him, Mr. Laszlo, this coat is now more than 40 years. If I have it on the other side for another 40 years, it will suffice. So he turned it. So he made the coat, and the lining inside is the old fur lining of my old winter coat, which probably was made in 1939 or 1940. But the coat itself, as you can see, it is, interestingly, it is sheepskin. But in Hungary there was a sheepskin factory which made it seal-like. So they call it pano fix. So the sheepskin is made seal-like, but it's a sheep coating. And it's a very, it's in between the lining and the coat. There is also some lining inside, so it's really a very warm coat, because none of the public transportation at that time in Hungary were heated, so you needed in the winter time a very warm coat. And in 56 I came out. The coat was left in Hungary, but eventually it was shipped after me. And I've been wearing it for 1 or 2 years, but it was not very convenient to wear a long coat driving a car. So it was hanging in the closet. And one day, it was a very cold day, and I thought, I will wear it. And this must have been in the early 1980s. And I walk in St. Michael's Hospital, and the coat has the length of mid-calf. And as I'm going in, one of the nurses comes, Dr. Forbath, what a fashionable coat. This coat is now 85 years of age. She did not want to believe it. So the coat outside is 1905. It belonged to my uncle Sigismund. It was made for me in 1948. And now we are 2017, and the coat is still good. Interestingly, the collar, because Hungary did not let out fur, which they considered to be a national treasure. So when the coat was left out, it had to be taken off, and the collar was made in Canada. So that is, but the original coat also had a black Persian collar. So it is the way it usually was. So that is basically the history of the coat.